Hello YouTube, welcome to Atrocious Gameplay, to our Rookie Report series where I show you guys the decks that I'm playing during my rookie kind of season, although the season's kind of canceled. I think you guys know what I mean. I'm a newer player, so showing it off. Now that with everything going on in the world that's happening and events are canceled, like big regionals and stuff, there's a lot of online tournaments going on, and I am participating in them. If you guys do not know, I work in collegiate sports, and that usually happens on the weekend. So events are usually hard to come by for me. So this is a great opportunity for me to build as a player, to enter in a lot of different things, to keep practicing, keep playing, stuff like that. And the recent tournament that I went in, it was a very small tournament. It was a very small tournament hosted by Dadizard. Shout outs to him and his community. Invited me in, and so I joined. I played SHEDNINJA. So if you guys don't know, I love control-ish, stall-ish, mill type decks. I think they're fun. I played this SHEDNINJA list. This is very similar to what Preston Ellis played in Melbourne. He posted his article. I'll try to link the article down in the description. I was reading his article, and I really like this idea, and it's a lot of fun to play, to be honest, in my opinion. This is super kind of aggressive. Obviously, you got your Orangaroos, one of the most hated cards in Standard right now. You have your SHEDNINJAs, Vessel of Life. This has been a variation of a couple different decks throughout the years with Orangaroo. You got your Zebstrikas. I do put a Dedenne in here because, especially with the no turn 1 supporter rule, I feel like Dedenne turn 1 is very powerful and very useful. And also you can put the SHEDNINJAs on it, which I will kind of explain later in the video, because I'll show off some gameplay that I had during my rounds. And then this Latios GX, this is essentially your win con against some decks, including Zacian ADP, one of the most prevalent decks out there. You have the Lieutenant Surge going on. You have the Brock's Grit, the Belelba Bryson Man. Kind of a spicy card that I kind of like in this deck is Ingo and Emmett. It's actually a really, really cool addition. I'm not 100% sure why some other decks don't play it, but with the Orangaroo, let's say I'm having trouble getting down to the very bottom of my deck, but I threw away some stuff that I really, really need. So then I resource manage it back into the bottom of my deck. If I Ingo and Emmett, I can draw the cards from the bottom of my deck and get exactly what I resource manage back, which is super, super nice. Super, super nice. Plus 2 more cards. So that's really, really cool. You have a lot of search options for Pokemon to get, like your Latios. You got your Great Ball. You got your Quick Ball. You got lots of Pokecoms. I put 3 in. I think Preston's original list had 2. I like to have the diversity of constantly switching what I need, and it's kind of worked out decently well. You also have the things like Tate and Liza. I play 4 Psychic Energies, no Recycle Energies. The reason for that is constantly you're sprinting. You're constantly using Zebstrika's ability Sprint. You're ideally using it twice per turn. And sometimes, you have to sprint away your hand before you have something like an Orangaroo on the field. So I wouldn't want to recycle energy to come back into my hand only to sprint it away. Plus, you cannot shuffle in the recycle energy with Brock's Grit. So I think this is really, really good. So without further ado, let's go into the rounds. I don't want this video to take forever. So the first of 3 rounds in the Dadizard Open over last weekend. The first round I played against Cincino Mill. Against a guy who's first round of 3. And I actually had a pretty decent start, as you can see here. I had a 2-2 Ninkata Blitzel. And at the time of getting those cards, I didn't really know what I was playing against. So I wasn't aware that I didn't really need Ninkata or SHEDNINJA in this matchup. But I was able to adjust it. I was able to clear the Ninkatas, making them SHEDNINJAs to make room for bench space to possibly do like a Latios, because they do use the Mewtwo and the Macargo and things like that. I will say turn 3, I did get a little too aggressive. I ended up with 7 cards in the deck. 9 is ideal. 9 against this deck is what you need because they can Belelba and Bryson Man 3 cards away. So if I have 7 cards in my deck, I go down to 4. And then they can use the Mew and Mewtwo to copy Macargo in order to use the GX, which discards 5 cards from your opponent's deck, which puts me down to 0 and decks me out. So 9 is ideal. You want to try to have 9 in your deck, 9 cards in your deck against this, which is very, very tough, to be honest. But I was able to not be punished by that, which was really, really nice. I was able to kind of recover from that very quickly. He also kind of bench locked himself with Mew. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think he was super knowledgeable in playing this deck, this Encino Mill, but that's okay. You know, especially when you talk about control and mill, you have a very small margin of error. So like your mistakes are capitalized. So that's very, very, very thankful for that part. But I recovered really well with Brock's Grid, as I mentioned earlier, going back up to the 9+. But I should have honestly pal padded at some point. So I think that pal pad would have been a much better idea at this part. So that's something to worry about in the future. But I don't know why he didn't use Burning Magma GX when I had 7 cards left. Not sure. He Beloved and Bryson manned himself down to 3 also towards the end. So that's where I was able to capitalize on his mistake. As I mentioned earlier, you have a small margin of error when you're playing control or mill or those types of decks. They're not just heavy hitters, linear decks like Zashi and ADP. So thankfully, I was able to get the dub there. So now I'm 1-0. I'm at some of the top tables, and I'm playing Rillaboom. So Rillaboom, if you guys don't know, can be pretty difficult. So I didn't necessarily have an ideal turn 1 either, but I did get an Ninkata. I don't think it really mattered in the outcome of the game that I had a slower turn 1. But that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. But there was also a point where I took a Ninkata instead of a SHEDNINJA off an Acrobike. That I would count as a misplay because I totally should have taken the SHEDNINJA. So that's something, again, when you're trying to go a million miles an hour and, you know, you have a small margin of error, that can cost a difference because that could lead to one more prize for my opponent. Also, there was this part where I should have benched a 3rd Blitzel. I know that this deck plays the Snivy and Venusaur GX tag team, which is honestly the hardest part because you have essentially, you don't have unlimited gusting effects, but you don't depend on having 2 custom catchers or hitting heads on a Pokemon catcher. You know, all you need is an energy, so you just attach that when that is in the active, and then you use a switch or you hard retreat or whatever. So having that 3rd Blitzel there, because once they start knocking out your Zebstrikas, you lose your draw support. You can't really go through your deck. You can't get set up at all. You depend so much on the sprints that once those are gone, it's very, very hard to catch back up. So I should have benched a 3rd Blitzel. I had an open spot. That way, if they did knock out, which they eventually did, I would have been able to straight up just evolve right there and been able to sprint 2 times on another turn. So again, learning curve. I've never really played against Rillaboom with this deck, so it was very, very nice to learn that is what I need to learn moving forward. And then Ordinary Rod, you really want to mill that card out because that card sucks. But overall, in the end, I did not get this matchup. I don't even think it was too close of a match. It's just, again, that Snivy Venusaur. Super strong. But you know what? That's fine. We learn. And it doesn't take us out of the running for prizes later in the tournament. So now I'm 1-1. I'm going for the prizes now. I'm facing Arceus, Dialga-Palkia, Zacian, ADPZ. 1-1 currently right now. And in the beginning, it was a little interesting. There was no water attachment turn 1, although I believe pulled a water energy off of the energy spinner, so probably just not paying attention too much. But you know what? That's fine. We kind of maximize on those mistakes, right? Whenever our opponent makes a mistake, we always want to maximize it. But it wouldn't have really mattered if he attached the water energy anyways, because I did get that turn 2 clear vision. Like I mentioned earlier, clear vision is super essential. That's why I play 2 Latios. So then if I prize 1 Latios, it's fine because I have another one in the deck more than likely. Sometimes you do prize 2 Latios, but that rarely ever happens. So you kind of just take that loss. But anyways, I think he had a little bit of a slower start though. So I was able to do well off of that, especially again with the turn 2 clear vision. But I put myself a couple times in this matchup of like a horrible stamp you lose situation. I was able to at one point notice this and then recover the next turn, making sure that I am basically stamp proof. But I kept getting back out of it, but then eventually I got into the lock with 8 cards because 8 cards in play, you know, whether they stamp or Marnie you, you're always going to have cards left in the deck, and being able to sprint into those and see all of those cards. So that was really, really good. Didn't have too much trouble with Zashi and ADP, but also, like I mentioned earlier, with the Dedenes, you know, being a little bit more aggressive. With the SHEDNINJAs, this is a really good example of wanting to attach the SHEDNINJAs onto your GXs as much as possible, especially because I had 2 in play. Because both instances, he brought up the Dedenne, the Latios, and if he had taken knockouts off of them with no SHEDNINJAs on it, then I would have been at 1 less prize each of those, which would have been 2 less prizes. And overall, even though it wouldn't have mattered in the matchup, it would have made things way more stressful, would have made things a lot more closer, and I wouldn't have had as much control. So attaching those SHEDNINJAs on is your highest priority first, because if you leave your Oranguru in the active, even if they knock it out, you still get to go in Lieutenant Surge turn. So I personally would rather be safe than more safe than sorry, and it's worked out pretty well for me in the games that I've played. So again, I went 2-1 with this deck in the Dadizard Open. Dadizard hosts these tournaments on weekends. He had one on Saturday. He had one on Sunday. By the time this video goes out, I don't think he will have started one yet. I think it's probably like 4 Eastern time he did it last time. I don't know why I pretended like I had a watch. But 3 Eastern time actually is what it is. And last week it was expanded. I don't know what it's going to be today. And then Sunday at 4 p.m. is usually when he does his standard tournament. So if you're watching this on Saturday, maybe you want to participate in a smaller tournament. Dadizard, a great person to go off of. Again, I will leave his stuff down below because he is a content creator. He is a Twitch streamer in the PTCG category. Also does a little bit of variety stuff. Does a lot of grassroots too in teaching his kids, but I don't know if I would necessarily make many changes to this deck. Maybe I would do the Mew, because a lot of things that you have in this deck, you know, maybe Venom Shot with Big Blacephalon, but I haven't seen a lot of Venom Shot or Big Blacephalon decks in general, so you might be able to get away with not playing against that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We went 2-1, 3rd place overall in this tournament. I will be doing more of these in the future. Probably the format is going to change a little bit, but my weekly league wants to do normal tournament stuff on Monday, just kind of smaller things, not too big of prizes, but still 3 rounds, a lot of fun. So I think I'll continue to do that, and I think I'll make videos for that. Plus, also, I think I'm going to enter in the JW tournament. So if you don't know, Flex Daddy Righteous also hosts tournaments now, just as many others. And so I think I'm going to join that one week. Who knows what deck I'll play in there. We're going to be playing TCG on stream a lot. So make sure to check us out, twitch.tv/atrociousgameplay if you do not know. And also the Limitless Qualifier when those go on, because we entered in it and then it got postponed. So unfortunate, but they're doing a great job over there. Anyways, video's gone on way too long. Thank you so much for watching Atrocious Gameplay. Remember, we're not very good at video games, but we do have a fun time doing it, and we're getting a little bit better each time, and we're having fun with friends. So check us out, twitch.tv/atrociousgameplay. Like this video if you want to see more rookie reports. I think it's a clever title. Anyways, bye.